I'm going to be sharing how to cover gray while also doing my signature Foilayage method, and I'm going to share with you guys my favorite rose gold formula, so stay tuned. What's up? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited today. I have a model coming in and we're gonna be doing something really, really fun. It's been over a year since we've done her hair and all she's done is covered her gray in between. So I'm really stoked to bring her in and to transform her hair. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be covering her gray kind of at the top, and then I'm gonna be melting it into a foilayage. So a lot of you guys have asked how to cover gray and do foilayage at the same time, and you totally can. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to do that. And we're also gonna turn her hair a little bit of fun rose gold at the end too. So stay tuned, this is gonna be a really fun technique and I can't wait to share it with you guys. All right, so this is our before canvas. You guys can see we've got some grays up here at the top, kind of her natural color, and then some old like permanent color that she has kind of through these middle bands and stuff, this kind of mid shaft area. And then some of her previously lightened ends that we had lightened a long time ago. So it's definitely time. She's got this dark hole back here. It's time to brighten it up, bring up that brightness, and then also cover her grays all at the same time. All right, so for her base, I'm gonna mix up 5NN. Half of our formula will be 5NN, and I like the double N pigments because it's really gonna cover her gray really well. So half our formula will be that, and then the other half is gonna be 5A and 6A, and this is just gonna give a little bit more ashiness to it because she tends to get a little bit of warmth. And I'm only gonna mix up half my formula right now because we're gonna only apply it to the back of her, and then when we go to the front, we'll remix so that we're using a really new formula. All right, so for her lightener, I'm actually gonna mix up our Kenra Blue Powder Lightener. I like this one because it's a little bit stronger than what I normally use, which is Blondor. And I'm gonna be starting with 35, and I know that seems like kind of high, or it seems like kind of a lot, but her hair tends to get pretty warm and it takes a little bit extra. So we've done 30 before and it just takes so long for her to lift. So we are gonna start with 35 and we're gonna use Olaplex in it, and we'll keep a really good eye on it so I know that we're not gonna cause any damage. All right, so I sectioned out her hair and we just did the front from the back, and you guys can see I just kind of clipped it away, nothing too fancy. And then in the back section, I literally just sectioned it the top from the bottom because we're gonna be starting here at this little bottom section, and I don't wanna apply color through this top area, and it helps keep it a little bit easier for us. So we're gonna start here in this little bottom area. All right, so I'm gonna start applying her permanent color just to cover these little gray hairs, and we're gonna start down here in the bottom. And when I'm applying roots in a foilayage, I'm only gonna work section by section. So typically what you would normally do is you would apply the entire head full of tint. You could either wash it out and then go through and do your foilayage, but that just takes too much time. Or some people go through and apply their entire tint and then they'll go back in and add their foilayage pieces. The reason why I don't like to do that is because then this hair has been processing sometimes in certain areas for hour and a half before you even apply the foilayage. So you're actually having to lift back through that color. So that's why I work in sections, and when we get to the front, we're able to mix up fresh new color by the time we get up there because, you know, we've been working for so long. So I'm just gonna go through and apply this kind of to her root area, and then we'll drag it down in a little bit as we're going through and applying her foilayage pieces. All right, so I finished applying all the tint through this bottom section, and now I'm gonna start with my first foilayage piece. So I'm gonna take a diagonal back section, and you guys can see it's a pretty good size. We've got our tint in there. We'll clip this guy up here. And what I'm gonna do with my section is I'm going to weave it out. And this guy's gonna act as our low light, and then we're gonna tease the rest of this hair. Now, because we're teasing through a tint, we don't wanna tease too much. It could cause tangle, and she's kinda got some frizzy hair, so we don't wanna cause like too much tangling or any like knots or anything. So we're just gonna lightly tease it. I'm gonna take my longer foil, and I'm gonna go back through, and instead of using my traditional conditioner blending method, I'm gonna use the tint that we're already using on her hair. So I'll go through and reapply it to that teased area, make sure that we don't have any holes or any spots that we're missing. We'll apply that through to about the mid-lengths, and then I'm gonna go through and just apply her lightener in here. So one thing I like to do is I kind of start lower than where I want to actually have the blend start. And the reason why is because we want area to go back and blend this up into. So I'm gonna kind of pull it through here, and you guys can see she's got some really blonde ends. We're gonna totally leave those out. We don't wanna harm them. We don't wanna trim off too much today, so we're just gonna do a baby trim, but we don't wanna damage those ends. So I'm just gonna kind of blend this up in there. And you guys can see I'm just blending it up into that color. Now, one of the questions that I get a lot is when you're blending it up into either the conditioner or the color, are you gonna get a band of warmth? And you'll get a little bit, especially when you're blending it up into color, but because we don't let the color sit on for very long before we go blend it up in there, it actually lifts through pretty good. Now I'm gonna take my shorter foil and I'm gonna place this right on top here, and that's gonna help us incubate it. We'll fold it in half and then we'll lock that corner into place. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another section, another 1/2 inch up, we'll do that section and do the exact same technique, and then we'll do 2 on the other side to create her beautiful hairline, so when she wears her hair up, she'll have this nice beautiful balayage piece. All right, so I finished that whole bottom section, and I basically did 2 diagonal back sections around her hairline, and then I went through and just did 1 straight across. And the reason why I did this is it's gonna break up that pattern, so we don't just have a lightness around kind of the sides and then this depth through the middle. So this guy's gonna actually break up that pattern, but it's still gonna allow us to have some depth underneath there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna apply her tint to this top section, and then we'll go through and we'll do some foliage in there. All right, so I've done 2 diagonal backs. I'm gonna do a straight across one. So I'm gonna kind of take this, and again, this is breaking up that pattern you guys can see that we have going on in here. And every time I do a balayage or foliage on one of my clients, I like to break it up and just change it up from what we did last time. So you guys can see there's quite a bit of depth in there. It's just only kind of down here in this bottom. So I really want to just break that up and bring some lightness in there. So as we've done the color through here, I always just kind of comb it through just to kind of blur that line a little bit. Now we're going to take our section, I'm going to weave it out. And this will act as our depth piece so that we don't get too blonde and all that stuff. Now you totally could go through and you could add some lightness in here if you want to, bring that up, but I feel like we're okay. Then we're gonna tease it out a little bit. And again, just slightly teasing it, nothing too crazy. Take our foil, and I love these foils, you guys. If you haven't noticed, they're my favorite color, rose gold. These are from Framar. These are the long ones, and these ones I love because you can actually, it comes in a roll of foil, and you can make them whatever size you need, so I love them. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna apply her color up here into that teased section. So we're almost kind of bringing through a low light when we're doing this as well, because some of this teased area was down here. So it's gonna help diffuse our color, but it's also gonna help give us like a little bit more dimension in there. So I'm dragging down her color a little bit, making sure it's fully saturated in there so we don't get any spots. And then I'm gonna go through and do our lightener. Now this is a thicker section that we have going on with her hair. So I'm gonna make sure to always make sure that it's super saturated. I'm kind of pushing that color in there. And you guys, I'm actually putting the back of my hand on that foil and I'm pushing down into my hand. One thing you definitely don't wanna do is make sure that there's hollow spots. So opening up the hair kind of with your brush a little bit. And also being careful of these like little pieces down here at the bottom. We don't want to over process those too. So I'll take my lightener and I'll blend it up into this color area. And again, this is going to give us a little tiny bit of warmth, but nothing too crazy because that color hasn't been sitting on there super long because I literally just applied this area as I'm applying the foil. So that's, I think, where you get into problems is when you let the light or the color sit on too long and then the lightener has to go back through and lift through all this. You guys will see that we don't have to lift through too much. It's just almost acting as like our blending agent. So just continuing to blend that through. And then what I like to do too is you guys can see there's maybe like a little spot that could possibly happen there. One thing that I like to do is I'll take a clean dry brush and I'm just gonna kind of smooth that out a little bit. So look how much cleaner that is now. Just kind of smooth it out, same thing. And then I'll just go through and I'll apply our foil right on top of this to incubate. And this also just keeps our sections really clean. We don't have to worry about color getting everywhere. Working clean is really important so that you don't have issues. And let's say I need to go back through and reapply color. I can just peel back this foil, reapply color or reapply lightener throughout the process, and it definitely saves me time. All right, so this is our last section of the back, and you guys can see this is gonna be kind of like our veil piece that lays over everything. So we wanna make sure that this piece is super, super blended. So you guys can see I already applied all our lightener and everything, and now I'm just going through and just blending it in there. One thing I wanna make note of too is because we teased up here, we wanna make sure that we're not pushing that lightener up into that teased area, because what can happen is you can end up getting spots in the hair. So we definitely wanna not do that. But if it gets a little bit, like some of these little hairs, we're just kind of brushing it down. And then I will go back through with that clean brush once again and just kind of smooth everything out. And again, that'll make sure that I'm cleaning up kind of that little teased area and making sure it's all nice and smooth. So we'll just place this little foil, lock it into place, and then we'll move to the front of the hair. All right, so I finished the back. We applied all her tint through the front. It just makes it a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner. I cleaned up her hairline. And then I'm gonna take her little money piece section. So I'm gonna take just about like 3/4 of an inch away from her hairline. And this is gonna be our little money piece area. Now, because she's got color already on her hair, we're not gonna like squish it down on her face. We're gonna be really gentle, making sure not to do that and trying to keep it just as clean as possible. So I'm gonna take my first little section right here, and this is about usually a highlights width section. So we'll take our little guy right here. And this can be tricky, you guys, when you have a lot of color on the hair and all this stuff, and you know, little baby hairs going everywhere, sometimes this can be a really tricky area. So just try to keep it as clean as possible. So the fun thing is about using color or using our blended conditioner method is you can leave the foil, it's not gonna slip, it's not gonna fall, and so I love that. So I'll just go through and just reapply just to make sure to stick that foil on there really good. Then we're gonna apply our lightener, and then I'm just gonna kind of blend it up into the color. And this is her money piece area, so it's gonna be around her face. We can go a little bit closer, you know, to the scalp area, kind of blend this up. And I'm gonna grab a little bit more product, kind of blend that up into there. I've just got some of these darker ends kind of through some of these, so I'm just gonna pull that through a smidge. This lightener is probably about 30 at this point. It's been 35, but it's been processing for a little bit. I'm gonna remix, but I didn't want to remix for these little baby pieces right around her face. So, all right, now we're gonna fold this into thirds. And one thing that I want you guys to know is normally I would fold both sides down like this, but if we did this and we folded this over, these little baby guys are gonna get colored with the color because we're gonna squish it back onto this. So what I usually do is I will take an extra foil and I'm gonna just put it right here so that when we put this foil back, we're not gonna get any color anywhere. And just to make sure that it stays nice and clean again. We'll remove that foil in a second, but just for this little area. So I'm gonna do 2 more and we'll continue around the hairline. So now we've got to the front of the hairline. I'm just gonna weave this guy out, and we want this one to be pretty fine because this is gonna be the piece that she pulls back right around her face. So we want it pretty fine, nothing too chunky around her face. So we'll weave this guy out. We'll push that guy off to the side so we don't get it all squished on her forehead. Apply our foil. And you guys, just so you know, this can be a little tricky. It takes a while to practice this, especially with the color in there. So if it feels awkward, if it feels uncomfortable when you first do it, don't worry, it feels awkward and uncomfortable to me too. So just so you know, as a little encouragement, that this does take a little bit of getting used to. So try it out on a doll head if you're worried about it the first time, and you'll get the hang of it for sure. So now once we've blended that all the way through, we're just gonna go through and clean up this little area with my clean brush, and then lock our foil into place. And then once we've done this, I'll always go back and check to make sure that we cleaned up her hairline so that she doesn't have color squished on her forehead. So sometimes I'll pull that up, make sure that we're good to go. We always keep these little guys just kind of pushed over to the side, and we'll lay these foils down. And I like to kind of split them from where the client parts their hair, just like this. Lay this one down, that's her hair. Lay this one down, and you could lock these into place now that the color's out of the way. Now we've got this little foil pulled off. Nice and clean, we didn't get any color on those pieces. So now we're gonna move around to the side hairline. All right, so I finished all the way on her sides, and all I did was I did diagonal backs all the way up till this top corner. I did small little slices right around the face and then just kind of worked our way up. That way it's gonna create some brightness right through there. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this little section right here, and I'm actually gonna split it in half. Because this could be a lot of depth, and because this comes through the top of the head, we wanna make sure there is some lightness in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna split it in half. And then this will be one last piece. Tease it like normal, and then we'll go through and apply our product. All right, so this was the last foil that I did on this back section. So I always check this foil because it kind of gives me an idea of where we've lifted to. So you guys can see there's a little bit of warmth in there still, so she still has a little bit of ways to go, but I always sometimes just like reapply kind of right here, because again, this is our veil piece. We want to make sure that blend is already really good, but you guys can see it's kind of already really good in there. It's not too bad, so we'll just kind of clean that up, and we'll definitely go let her process. All right, so I just finished rinsing out her color. We rinsed it out really good, and now I'm gonna apply Olaplex number 2 to her hair. What I like doing this before we tone and before we, apply color. We're actually not gonna tone her, but before, if I was to do this and we were gonna tone, I like to do this because it helps to get rid of all of those teasing that we did. Her hair didn't tangle up too bad, but if for some reason somebody had some tangles in the hair, this is gonna help kind of get that out before we go in and do the toner, because obviously when you're going through and doing a toner, you wanna make sure that you're gonna be able to get through the hair. So Olaplex number 2 at this point is the best option. And you can either do Olaplex number 2 before toner or after toner. We just choose to do it before because of that reason. I also like to comb it through with this Wow comb. If you guys haven't seen these guys, you can check them out on Instagram, Wow comb. Not sponsored by them, I just love this product. It works really great. It helps me get the color, toner, Olaplex number 2, whatever, through the hair really well, and it helps me detangle the hair. All right, so we're gonna mix up her rose gold formula, and I'm gonna be using Mauve Quartz, Bronze, and Pulprit Cupid. These are like my go-to mixtures for rose gold. And then I'm also gonna mix it with a little bit of conditioner, but we're gonna do a little bit darker in her. So I'm just gonna add a little tiny bit of conditioner, and this just really makes the color go further. It lightens it a bit because we don't want it too dark, but we're just gonna be using a little bit here. So today I'm using the anti-breakage conditioner from Gold Balayage. To be honest, you can use any conditioner that's like a lightweight one or medium weight conditioner, as long as it's light in color. This is just what I had in the back stock that we're not really gonna use, so that's why I'm using it. All right, so now that I've got a little bit of conditioner in there, I'm gonna add equal parts of my Mauve Quartz and my Bronze. And then Cupid, I'm just gonna do a tiny bit. And basically what I'm doing while I'm mixing all this up is I just kind of eyeball it, and then we kind of figure out, okay, do we need a little bit more bronze? Do we need a little bit more Mauve Quartz? What do we need in this formula to make it perfect? Now she's got a lot of hair, so we are gonna mix up a decent amount. But yeah, I'm just kind of mixing it up. Like personally, this is the ideal color of what we're going for. This is the depth that I want. So now it's just making it into a, bigger batch of color. And one thing that I like to do too, once I've kind of mixed up the color, is I like to test it out on a paper towel and kind of see like where we're at. Now obviously a paper towel is white, so there's no underlying pigment. She'll have a little bit of warmth underneath there. So we do need to remember that this might be a little bit warmer. So we might want to add a little bit more pink or a little bit more of the Mauve Quartz, because this has a little bit more coolness to it. But we can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. So that's going to be how I mix up my favorite rose gold formula. I absolutely love this formulation, and we're going to put that on her hair now. All right, so this is what her balayage looks like. We just dried it really quick. Now we're gonna put the rose gold over it, but I wanted to show you guys what it looks like just without any toner. This is what it looks like. We just rinsed out the color, we shampooed it out, but it's actually really pretty even without toner in her hair, and you guys can already see that blend happening right in there. So just wanted to show you guys what it looks like without the rose gold on there. Still really beautiful color, so as her rose gold color fades out, this is what's gonna lay underneath, and it's still gonna be really beautiful. All right, so now I'm just going through, and we dried her hair as much as we can. Obviously, we're not gonna dry it completely. They do recommend that you dry it 100%, but usually I get it about 80% dry, and I've never had any issues, so just to save time. So I'll dry it, and then now I'm just going through and I'm applying her rose gold color, and I'm only applying it on the areas that we lightened. We don't need to apply it to the entire head and get her roots all kind of greasy, so I just like to apply it kind of through the ends. making sure to fully saturate. But because we put that conditioner in, it actually makes it a lot easier to saturate and pull through the hair because the consistency of it is a lot thinner than regular. So one thing you can do when you're going back through the hair is you can just kind of comb it through, and it makes sure that you get all those little hollow areas. So sometimes when I'm pulling the hair back down, I'll take a couple sections together and I'll take just like a wide tooth comb and gently comb it through my client's hair just to make sure that we didn't miss any hollow spots and that the color got all the way through. Alright, so we let her color sit on for about 25 minutes. Now we're rinsing it out. And you guys, I'm using pretty cool water, almost like lukewarm to cold water to rinse out her color. This is going to be really key to help kind of close down that hair shaft and that cuticle after you did a vivid service. And one thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you really rinse the hair, especially because it has that conditioner in it. We don't want the hair to be greasy or anything like that. So we're going to rinse it really good. And pretty much once you kind of stop seeing the suds come out, that's how we'll know that it's rinsed really good. And we're not going to shampoo her because we don't need to, but I am going to finish with the Foilayage Raw Color Care Aesthetic Milk Rinse just to help close down that cuticle a little bit more and to help her color last longer. Alright, so I'm going to be putting on the Color Care Aesthetic Milk Rinse onto her hair. We're just going to kind of lay it over the rest of her hair, kind of squirt it in there. And this is going to help close down the hair shaft of the cuticle, and it's really going to help hold that color in. It also is going to help with a little bit of frizz that she has, make the hair super soft and shiny, and again, just kind of lock that color into place. So we'll let this sit on for about 10 minutes, and then we'll rinse it out and dry her. Alright, so here is our final result. Oh my gosh, I love how it turned out. You guys, look how blended it is and so beautiful and shiny. Oh, I absolutely love this color. This is my favorite go-to formula. I absolutely love it because it just turns out so beautiful. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had so much fun and you learned a ton. Her hair looks amazing. I'm so stoked with how it turned out. Make sure to comment down below if you guys have any questions. We try to answer all of them as much as I can. And come over to Instagram and tell me what you liked about this video. Shoot me a DM, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button below to be notified when we share any more videos. I love sharing techniques, business advice, and all that fun stuff. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.